Hi, Will here from YF Volleyball Performance. Today we're going to show you a workout that you can perform either on your own or at the end of your practice. We'd recommend doing it 2 to 3 days a week. This workout is intended to be from December until February, and then we're going to have a second workout to take you through to the rest of your club season. The focus of this workout is exposing your joints to different planes of motion. That way, if they happen on the volleyball court, you're more prepared for them than if we aren't training these different planes of motion. So Kayla's going to start with a non-alternating forward lunge. This is a great exercise for putting on the brakes when we're landing or changing direction on the court. She's going to focus on her kneecap being out over top of her ring toe, not crashing in towards her midline, where terrible things can happen on a volleyball court. She's going to do 10 per leg. You'll notice that she's doing it non-alternating, so we're really hitting one leg before we go on to the second leg and hit that one just as hard. She's going to propel herself right back to the starting position and kind of drop into that front position. She's almost at her 10 here, and then she's going to be going into a push-up. Last one, there it is. Good. She's going into a push-up now. You can perform your push-ups from your knees or your toes. You're going to be doing 10 of these. Kayla's going to focus on keeping her core tight. A push-up is essentially a moving plank, and she's going to keep her chin and her face looking right down into the floor. At the shoulders, we want her arms to be in an arrow position, not a T position. Those are challenging, dangerous positions for our shoulder. In volleyball, obviously, we need our shoulder joint to be healthy. Our next one we're going to get into here is a non-alternating curtsy lunge. So once again, exposing ourselves to additional planes of motion. Now we're going to be getting some twisting through that knee and really swinging across our body. Kayla's really going to feel the outside of her glute when we do this exercise. The posterior superior glute muscle is going to be very, very important in terms of injury prevention on the volleyball court. She's going on to leg 2 here. Once again, we're staying non-alternating with this movement, and she's propelling herself up to the starting position. She's got a great range of motion. Different athletes will be able to get lower than others based on changes or differences in hip sockets. She's almost at 10 here, and we'll be moving on into a pronated pull apart. So you will need a band for this exercise. Shoulder blades are going to be down and back, and she's pulling that band horizontally to her chest. This exercise is for her shoulder muscles. She's doing 20 reps. Her rotator cuff, her rhomboid, her trapezius are all involved in this exercise, and these are the muscles that stabilize a shoulder joint when we go and hit a volleyball repeatedly. At about 20 of these, she's going to feel the upper 2/3 of her back is going to feel very, very active. Over time, this is going to put muscle around that joint and help stabilize that shoulder into its socket. Moving along here, Kayla's going to go into a non-alternating lateral lunge. So she's going to step out to her side and drop into that hip. She's going 10 per side. Once again, this is now another plane of motion that we're exposing her to. We've done forward, we've crossed, and now we're stepping out to the side. This is also going to help her change direction on the volleyball court as she propels herself back left to right. You can think about that as getting in front of the volleyball when you're playing defense. She's on to leg 2 here. And once again, she's doing a great job tracking that knee right over top of her ring toe and propelling herself all the way back to the starting position in one smooth motion. She's almost at those 10 reps here. And we're going to be going right back into a push-up. Push-up, this time we'll go from our knees just to show the difference there. And once again, she's a moving plank, nice tight core, and her elbows are down by her side, making a arrow position as opposed to a T position. This is an exercise for just upper body strength, power, should help us with our pressing on blocks and hitting the volleyball. but also, just like the rotator cuff in the back, the pectoralis and the anterior deltoid helps hold the shoulder in place in the front. Now we're into our non-alternating reverse lunge. When we're peaking for a season, this is the one we do the most because it looks most like the takeoff of a jump. You can see she's coming up explosively. Yes, we want to get stronger, but we want to get fast strong. So she's doing a great job of coming up nice and explosive. If you do want to add any little bit of weight to these exercises, of course you can do that as well. And she's on leg 2 here. Knee is once again right over top of ring toe, and she's really focusing on driving through her hip all the way to the top. It looks like she could propel herself for a jump. And we're back to a little bit of shoulder work. We're doing another pull apart variation. This time she's gonna have her palms up instead of palms down. It's slightly gonna change the muscles that are involved in the back here. So we want all of those muscles to get exposed. There are tons of different pull apart variations we can do. And each little subtlety will hit a different muscle more or less. Once again, this is all just in the nature of bulletproofing the back of that shoulder, which is used every time we're trying to decelerate our arm. Finally, we are moving into a little bit of core. Kayla's gonna get into a front plank here for 60 seconds. She is down. She has a nice tuck of her pelvis here. You can see that her back is nice and flat. We do not want her to get into any arched positions when we're doing this plank. These are the positions where we're gonna start resting on our spine and creating tension and damage down at the level of the discs and the spine. So she's got this great tuck. Core is so important for low back health in volleyball. That is probably the most common injury we see and one of the hardest ones to fix once you have it. So we want this core to be really strong to stabilize this area between our ribs and our pelvis where we don't have ribs, or down below. Nice and tight. We're gonna go for 60 seconds here. Kayla's almost there. We're at about 40 so far. She's gonna keep going here. The other thing, we want this core to be rock solid when we go to take off for a jump. If it is not, then we're gonna be losing force production from our legs when we go to propel ourselves into the sky. We've got 5 seconds, Kayla. Keep your tuck. 3, 2, 1. Great job. And our final exercise of the circuit here, Kayla's starting to feel it now, is a side plank. So we're gonna do both sides, obviously. A little hard on the rock hard floor, but Kayla's really tough. Perfect plank there. Down from her elbow. If you do want to go from your hand, that's fine. Generally speaking, that is a little easier because the angle is working a little less against gravity. Straightforward, she can have her feet stacked like this, or she can bring her top foot in front of herself. Hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, knees and ankles are somewhat stacked as well. Right now, she should be feeling her bottom oblique. She's got another 10 seconds here. Almost there, and then we're gonna go into side 2, 3, 2, 1. Good job, Kayla. And our final side here. And on your marks, get set, go. 30 seconds. We really just want to make sure that if we were to run Kayla through an x-ray machine right now, her spine would be straight, right from the top of her head, right through to her tailbone, nice straight line. We've talked about the importance of core with our front plank, but we do need to think of it as a core. It's not just a front. It's got 2 sides, it's got a back, it's even got a top and bottom. So it's really important that we make all of those aspects get involved when we're doing our core training. Kayla, you've got 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and done. That is 1 lap through our circuit. We would suggest that you start with 1 lap, and as you're feeling more and more prepared, you can add a second or even a third lap.